Alone as an orphan. So I stand here as an orphan against the greatest power ever built by taxpayers, the United States federal government. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to speak out of the bottom of my heart. The enemy of justice, the enemy of mankind, the ruler of hell and earth, the white man, he's always poisoning the minds of the public and saying, Tijerina is a violent man, Tijerina is advocating revolution, Tijerina is breeding poison, hatred among races. Of course, he doesn't recall that he wrote the Black Legend against Spain, against communism, against Russia, against China, against de Gaulle. But he doesn't want us to criticize him. But I will, because I see nothing good in him. The white man proudly says that he still recalls and remembers when one of his said, give me freedom, give me liberty, or give me death. I say that we have more rights, more cultural right, more blood right, more legal right, more spiritual right, more human right to say, give me freedom, not powder milk. You know these so-called state welfare assistance and the war on poverty and all that stuff that our Roman Empire is now using to postpone time, to win time. He's fighting against time because he's running out of time and out of friends. He no longer has any friends. And tonight, in these few minutes, I'd like to tell the white man, the good one I mean, to repent and join the black, the Indian, and the Hispano or the Mexican. You know, that Indian called Crazy Horse one time said to his warriors, to his braves, he says, today is a beautiful day to die, when he was going to fight that white, yellow hair, what was his name, Custard? The white man has forgotten that the soul of an oppressed people, the soul of a humble people who is thirsty for justice and freedom, also feels sweetness in its soul. When we think about dying for our rights, there is sweet feeling and flavor in our soul when we say, I have a very short minute, so don't interrupt my minutes because there are very few. He comes around with his foolishness and lies, saying, oh, we're fighting in Vietnam for our constitutional rights and for the free world. I have never heard a bigger, low down, rotten liar. Never. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the reason why we from New Mexico has chosen the path of death rather than keep on eating and drinking that powder milk that even dogs die when they use that dirty, low-down powder milk and synthetic cheese. It is not the strength, it is not the bombs, it is not the appearance, ladies and gentlemen, that wins the victory and brings peace and brings victory and brings justice to earth. It is that peculiar, that mystic, that miraculous power of nature vested in creatures, even small creatures. When they have no little ones, they run from fear and death. As a she-dog, she will run, but after she has little puppies, she will not run from nobody. She will not run from nobody. And let me tell you one thing. We in New Mexico have little puppies, and we will not run from nobody. Ladies and gentlemen, we cannot invest our life in the lies of the Anglo, of the enemy of mankind. No, he is too big of a liar. He's bringing destruction to the world. He's raping everything on his path, and he's a no good. So I can no longer trust him. Of course, he gets mad because I don't want to trust him. But that's my business. And until he can prove that he believes in God, then I will believe in him. But he says he believes in God, but his father is the devil. I'm not joking. I'm not joking. We have a very serious enemy, and a very big and powerful enemy. We're fortunate, although, to have the colors in our sight, to have the land, mankind in our sight. I'm learning and inclining to believe that international events and the nuclear age is edging and forcing all things to be decided on color, on basis of colors. The whole future of the United States will be decided on color, that which he hates. That which he hates. Read your Bibles if you are Christian. You'll find it in Isaiah chapter 14, verse 13. That the last war on this earth will be decided on color and race. That is the reason why. That is the reason why the great religious leaders and organizations are no longer zealous about their religion, are no longer backbiting against themselves. They're trying to unite because there is no longer any difference between religions. But on colors, yes, there is difference. Brothers and sisters, hear my word. I speak for 500,000 Mexican Americans, which I call Indio, Hispanos, because we really are a new breed, and as you know, a new child is clear of sin as long as he's innocent. And those new breeds are always innocent. The new breeds are trusted by God, but the old races who have accumulated hatred, envy, wrath, power, lies, those develop and hateful old races can no longer be trusted by God because they do not know how to handle or how to honor justice. So we feel that we are a new breed in New Mexico. That's why we are looking, the minority groups, those people that are crying out loud for justice. And even though we don't see your faces, but your crying for justice goes across the country, and we hear it through the radio, through the press, and the TV. The millionaire tried hard to keep your cry from reaching heaven and earth and hell. But the unity and men like these so-called rebel rousers and communists, Carmichael and Reb Brown, has put our cry across the country and has forced our cries to be printed in the front page of the newspaper. Oh, I don't hate the white man. No, of course not. I'm not going to be violent against him. What I'm going to do if I'm sleeping and he breaks my door, I'm going to shoot him between the eyes and I'm going to keep on sleeping. Oh, he wants to make you believe that I'll go after them. No. I trap them like the spider. Come over here. I told Governor Kilgore of New Mexico, I told him next time 4 police go to my room to arrest me without a warrant of arrest, I'm going to shoot them as dogs because they have no right. So the governor immediately called the chief of police, state chief of police, Joe Black, and told him, watch out. That man means what he says. So tell your men to make sure they carry some papers when they go and arrest Tijerina. Brothers and sisters, now the world hears about us. Now our enemy, our government knows about us because we have forced our rights across the country, as I said, through these well-selected men. Man, there's no gold in the world that we could give in exchange for man, miraculous men like this. Carmichael, Rod Brown, Cesar Chavez, Corky Gonzalez, and your servant of New Mexico. All we did was to arrest 2 U.S. Forest Rangers officers that were not in the custom of having the Mexicans arrest them. That's all we did. And boy, you should see the whole Pentagon. Everybody got angry. In the courthouse of New Mexico, there was nothing done. Only 5 state police ran like coyotes. Even though they had good shotguns in their hands, they ran. Someday, I will have not 10 minutes, but probably half an hour or more. I will speak until your fire goes out. Thank you very much, and don't forget that we have been selected by the destiny and the forces of nature, especially of this continent, to march and militate together, fight together, stick together. And if we die with honor. God bless you.
¡Viva la raza!
¡Viva Tijerina! Ladies and gentlemen, Maulana Karenga, founder chairman of us.
This has to be short and sweet. All praise is due to the black man. I'd like to start off talking very quickly about power, because everybody's concerned about power today, and unless we stop being interested in making the reference rather than the reality, we'll still be nowhere, still holding rallies, still making speeches, and the white man will still be marching outside. So then what we want to say to black people is understand there are basically 4 areas in which you can get power. The first is political office, second is community organization, the third is coalition and alliance, and the fourth is disruption. We will discuss that more at length. In terms of political office, we must understand that any politician that wants to be a politician has to meet certain criteria that black people put down. They cannot just take office and say that is sufficient in itself. That's why we can't give Hatcher any credit. That's why we can't give Stokes any credit, because they must be given time to prove themselves. And there are 5 things that you have to ask them about themselves if they're going to call themselves black power politicians. First, accountability. Who are they accountable to? Are they accountable to us? Are they accountable to the people that paid their campaign? Second, do they expose the system as corrupt and unworkable, as a white man, as a liar, a thief, a dog, a murderer, and someone we can never work with, only work against? Can they say that, and can they mean that, or do they see this great office holding as something that all Americans should belong to? Do they see this as an end in itself, Do they see this as a great honor for Negroes finally to become Americans when everybody else is finally becoming human? The next thing they must do is play the power of disruption and bring up controversial issues like the war in Vietnam, like Walter Jenkins in the bathroom with Johnson, and like all them other things they're doing. These things have to be brought up to undermine the white man as a very corrupt and vile thing, and unless it's done, they cannot claim to be anything except pulpit. Finally, they have to ask the question, do they support black nationalism? This is the only legitimate thing, and this is a very beautiful day because this day shows, after so long, the triumph of black nationalism. That is the love of black people and the defense of those black people. And that's what we're supposed to be here for today, to talk about the defense of black people personified in the defense of Brother Huey Newton. The second area of political power is community organization. How can we organize black people? The first thing we've got to do is accept the concept of operational unity. That is to say, we've got to stop putting labels on people, talking about bourgeois this and grassroots that. A nigger's a nigger in front of white people. Does not matter. So some niggas get killed faster. Some niggas have less money, and some niggas get killed in court while others get killed in the street. It's the same thing, and black people have got to realize that. We are very happy to say that we have been promoting operational unity since 1966 when we had the first Black Power rally out on Will Rogers Park. We have said then that black people must form a united front for black people, and that front should be with everybody, whether it's Uncle Tom Preacher, Uncle Tom Mailman, or a nigga at random. They should all sit down and talk about their future. So then at that time we organized what was called the Black Congress, and more black people should have come and should keep coming to the Black Congress. And in that Congress, for some of you who don't know about it, NACP comes, Urban League comes, black nationalists come. Everybody comes that has something to say and should say something. Niggas always like to talk. This is a forum for them. But we must do more than that because the white man got his thing together. And he knows the name of the game, and it's kill. That's what he's doing to us. So then we talk about getting a black united front and black congresses all over the country. And unless black people get an organ where they can all talk and stop being scared of each other, stop making scare phrases. We got to kill this man and don't build no troop base. If you're going to kill somebody, find out how much it costs. Find out how it can be done. And then set about the work of the Lord. But everybody has to be organized. Can't just be anything. That's why we throw out classes. Ain't but one class, the class of the dispossessed, the class of brothers that catch hell. And we have got to remember that and get rid of those bourgeois and grassroots terminology. We got to talk about black people, because that's what we all are, regardless of how much money we make sometime. We are all black. The third area, and I'm being very brief on this, is the area of coalitions and alliance. With whom can we make coalitions and whom can we make alliances? Let's talk about coalitions as a temporary arrangement. We can make a coalition with anybody, including the white boy, understanding that he got in it something that he wants to get out of it, and we do too. Just like, for example, this question of peace and war. Let the white people run out there and stop bloods and stop niggas from going overseas. Let the white man sit out there and sit around Central Plaza and let them get beat so they will start moving against the police. Don't send ourselves out there. Let us organize our own black ghetto, but make a coalition with white people so that white people can add some more internal contradictions in the society and tear it apart. Let them tear it apart as well as us. And don't get so paranoid that every time you see a black man in a relationship with a white man, you think he's being used. Because you ain't got no sense. You think that everybody can use you. If a Jew walking down the street and he see a Jew talking to a nigga, he say, oh, another charm. That's what a Jew would say. Blood walking down the street and see a Jew talking to a nigga, he say, wow, man, that man being used. That's from different points of view, but if we got our thing together, nobody can use us. Nobody can use us. Let's talk about how to get white people fighting each other. That's what we've got to talk about. Let them shoot each other, let them march and picket and confront each other. And after it's all finished, we will have a better world. That's a temporary. It ain't a color coalition. The permanent relation is called an alliance. That alliance with brothers like Tijerina and the Brown Berets and all black and people of color that are doing something. Let us support all people of color everywhere. Let the white man call them communists. Let the white man call them anything they want. But let's talk about them as people of color. You can't talk about how beautiful this thing is and how some people never thought it would come about, that brothers from Mexicans could come up here and support us. How could we ever do that, you thought? But this is a new day, and I am glad I lived to see it. And I keep getting these notes, and everybody got to be out at 7, so I'm going to end after 2 or 3 more sentences. Right. Understand that also we must be glad when the Vietnamese go into their thing. Can you think how beautiful it was last week and all this week when they, check this out, wait a minute. How this man marched in talking about he's so bad, and this is a lesson to these niggas that are scared of white people. Here's a man that got an embassy in Vietnam. Can you dig this white chump? Got an embassy in Vietnam, and the Vietnamese walked in there, sat at the ambassador's desk, sent a memo to Westmoreland and told him to get out, and the Americans couldn't do a thing. Make alliances with all the people of color. Ain't no communists. Du Bois told us that the question of the 20th century is the question of the color line. It ain't no way out big interest. All people that have money got white faces. The people that own corporations have white faces. The people that control China before Mao got his thing together had white faces. And the people that are killing us got white faces. Finally, the last power is the power of disruption. That's in terms of riots, if you want to be scared enough to call it that, revolts or revolutions, whatever you feel like calling it. But understand this, you've got to learn, if you're going to be political, how to be deceptive. Do one thing, say 50 other things, and still don't do what you said you were going to do. That's why you never hear us, even though you might see it, you never hear us say, we're going to get this man and we're going to get him blah, 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 like this. We always say, yeah, we're against violence. Right. Right. But after sundown, anything might happen. See? And learn how to stop making statements and start building truth. Learn how to get people organized and disciplined like the brother you see around here. Don't just sit around and make scare phrases. You a paper tagger like the white man is. The white man's a paper tagger. He burns and he's a scarecrow, and you can put a match to him if you care. But he got a thing going, and unless you get a thing that's more organized than here, you'll still be holding rally 20 years from now, and you won't have done anything. So in conclusion, I'd like to say thanks everybody for coming and supporting Brother Huey Newton, because as we know, he is a symbolic figure. What happens to him will happen to all black people. And don't you forget that, and don't you feel that you're escaping from anything. And I'd like to end with a poem we always end by Leroy Jones. And it's after we've just done our thing and got this man off our back, got his white carcass off our back, his slimy hands out of our pocket, and his rope from around our neck. We've won. Can you dig it? Music is coming out in the streets, and we doing what we always did, danced in the street, and the music is loud, but we call everybody to get serious, and then the microphone comes out and says this: walk through life beautiful more than anything, stand in sunlight, walk through life, love all the things that make you strong, be lovers, be anything for all the people of earth. You have brothers, you love each other, change up and look at the world now, man, it's ours. Take it slow. You got a long time and a long way to go. But then we have each other and the world. Don't be sorry. Walk on out through sunlight life and know, can you dig it? We on the go for love.
Brother Maulana Karenga. Next man on the program, like the other brothers, really doesn't need an introduction. Under the new alliance that Brother James Forman talked about, it's my pleasure to introduce to you the Minister of Justice for the Black Panther Party of Self-Defense, the Chairman of SNCC, Brother Rat Brat.
Solid, brother. They told me that we're running overtime, but I figure if they can give the Los Angeles Lakers overtime, and the Los Angeles Lakers ain't never burned nothing but cigarettes, they can give us overtime, we burn watts. I want to raise a question with black people here tonight. It's a question that's relevant to all black people and oppressed people across the world. The question is, what happens when there's no redress of grievance? See, black people in America have never had a machinery that spoke adequately to the redress of grievances, or to the lack of redress of grievances in this country. In other words, justice has never been a reality for black people in this country. You've got to begin to look at America and its oppressive nature, and then you begin to understand the revolutionary struggle that oppressed people are engaged in throughout the world. The revolution that this country is facing will be a revolution of dispossessed people. That means Mexican Americans, Puerto Ricans, blacks, American Indians, and every dispossessed class in this country. I heard a brother once eulogize Detroit. Perhaps it would be the eulogy for America. He says there was a town called Motown, now it ain't no town. You say they used to call it Detroit, now they call it Destroyed. America will fit in the same situation if she doesn't begin to address herself to the problems of black people in this country. Black people must begin to understand that if you don't control, everything that you don't control becomes a weapon against you. The education system today is a weapon against black people. It expounds and teaches white nationalism. An example of white nationalism that's taught in the educational system of America, which perpetuates this society, is that Columbus discovered America, a continent full of people. How can you discover a continent full of people? It tells you further that everything white in this country and everything white across the world is good. Everything black is bad. Black cows don't give good milk. Black hens don't lay eggs. You wear black to funerals, white to weddings. Angel food cake is white, devil's food cake is black. Even Band-Aid plastic strips, flesh colored, are pink. But we go for it. We go for it because we chumps. We chumps of the highest order. Huey P. Newton is now confined in jail because of our lack of action. We accuse ourselves of being revolutionaries. How many white cops have died since Huey P. Newton has been in jail? None. None. He killed the last honky that died from a bullet from a black gun. The only thing that Huey Newton is guilty of, perhaps, is that he didn't tell me he was going down on the honkies that day. That's the only thing. That's the only thing. But Huey P. Newton's freedom depends upon what black people do, nobody else. You see, freedom is not a welfare commodity. You are born free. You must exercise your right to be free. The man cannot give you freedom. He can't pass it out. You can't run around here talking about we waiting to be free. You must begin to become free. Begin to exercise that right. There is no such thing as a second-class citizen. You're either free or you're a slave. Freedom is absolute. There is no in-between. You have to stop thinking along those lines. To tell me that you are a second-class citizen is like telling me that you're a little bit pregnant. You can't be a little bit pregnant. You're either pregnant or you're not. You're either lying or you're telling the truth. These are absolute. Freedom is an absolutism. Black people, if they're going to be free, must begin to siege power. Chairman Mao says power comes from the barrel of a gun. You better get you a gun, brother. I don't care if it ain't nothing but a BB gun with poison BBs. America has shown us that she does not respect anything but counterforce. Plainfield, New Jersey, one of the most successful examples of a rebellion this year, was successful because the brothers had only recently stolen 46 automatic weapons, each one that would shoot 2,000 times and chunk bricks for a half hour. And the police refused to go down there and wantonly shoot up Plainfield. So they signed an armistice with the brothers, and they said, well, dig, you let us go look for the weapons so we can look good on the news. The brothers said groovy because they hid the weapons. The National Guard went down there and began to kick down doors and to destroy property. And the word went out, you kick down one more door, we're going to shoot your leg off. They left Plainfield. That's counterforce. The brothers were armed. America does not love China. She respects China. Force. America runs a game on you and tells you that you're being violent. This is the most violent country that has ever been conceived. Lyndon Johnson is a two-gun outlaw from Texas. He believes in the showdown concept. That's what's going on in Vietnam. That's what's going on in this country today. That's why white folks are arming themselves. Johnson has told them, you got to be the fastest draw. But my advice and my news for the Minutemen is that if you can't fight but a minute, don't come to my community. You've got to arm yourself. That's the basic right. You can't talk about revolution if you don't have anything to fight with. You are caught up in a revolutionary era, whether you approve of it or not. Black people for years have equated progress with concessions. We have made no progress from slavery. We are still slaves in this country. They took the chains off our feet and put it on our minds. There is no political structure in this country that's relevant to black people. The only politics we can be concerned with is the politics of revolution. There is no difference between the Democratic and Republican Party. What's the difference between Goldwater and Johnson? Yet black people run around the country talking about they're Democrats. And the Democrats have them thoroughly fooled because they tell them, we for the good of colored folks, but it ain't our fault, it's the Dixiecrats. There is no such animal as a Dixiecrat. The only difference between George Wallace and Lyndon Johnson is that one of them's wife got cancer. Nothing else. Two of the most potentially dangerous Negroes in this country are Democrats, Hatcher and Stokes. Now understand this. Their allegiance is not to the black community. It's to the Democratic Party headed by Lynchum Johnson, a racist redneck peckerwood camel breath honky from Texas. This is the same game that was run on the Jews in Germany. It was not the Germans who began to move Jews, it was other Jews. When Johnson tells Stokes to move out the agitators and the troublemakers, what you think he gonna do? He's gonna move them. When he tells Stokes to move out the troublemaker, he's gonna move them. This is why black people must quit dividing themselves and talking about classes. We can ill afford the luxury of class structures in our community. There is no such thing as a black middle class. You don't believe it? Go to Detroit and ask the brothers who thought they were in the middle class. The cops whooped middle class heads with middle class sticks. No difference. If you think that you can divide yourself into classes, then you're lost already. Because first of all, they're going to remove the troublemakers. Then they're going to remove the athletes because they're talking about boycotting the Olympics. And the entertainers going to sit back and say, well, it ain't us. But Eartha Kitt got them so far and they ain't going to get out of it. And it becomes a matter of time before they eliminate everybody. The resistance is weakened every time they take off a different stratification of black people. We cannot afford for Huey Newton to sit in jail. We cannot afford for any black person to be political prisoners in this country. This is our country. It was built on our backs by our labor. We built the country up. We'll burn it down if it don't hurry up and come around. People are running around here scared of black power. What you gonna do when you need black powder? That's the thing you better be talking about. That's what's gonna defend you. We cannot run around and let the white man dictate and tell you who you should follow. The movement at this point seems to be a leaderless movement. We must begin to espouse an ideology that covers everybody in that black community. The brothers know that they are fighting. They have expressed the will to fight, but they only know they're supposed to fight the policeman. You see, I saw a sign once that said, I wonder what happened to Lee Harvey Oswald now that we really need him. You see? See, you chumps, you believe the sign. Rockefeller probably put that sign out. You see, it's not only Johnson. It's not only those people in Washington. Rockefeller has investments in South Africa. These are the enemies. You must begin to broaden your concept. You got to get beyond the racist pig cop. You see, because he is a tool of the man who really controls the system. We're not only talking about destroying a power structure, we're talking about ruination of a system. Black people cannot afford to become capitalists. See, the military-industrial complex that old dumb Eisenhower even had sense enough to know about is real. It's very real. The military-industrial complex means that over 70% of the people employed in this country has some dealings to do with the military. In other words, war is profitable in this country. We must fight wars to keep the economy up. This is why we're in the war in Vietnam. It's not because we're trying to stop communist aggression. That's the biggest lie ever told. If we were so interested in stopping communist aggression, why has America never moved to stop communist aggression in white communist countries with the use of napalm? They always use Radio-Free Europe, chump. Black people in this country face extermination. That's it, brother. You face extermination daily. We are facing genocide on about 4 different levels. The war in Vietnam is active genocide. It's no accident that 45% of the casualties in Vietnam are black. That's no accident. That's genocide. The courts of America, any black man who faces a court in America can expect the maximum sentence and the maximum fine. Leroy Jones is an example. Muhammad Ali is another example. That's genocide. They're taking you off the street, chumps. The birth control program, as it's vigorously practiced by the poverty program, is genocide. And I'm not talking about birth control on an individual level because that's your hang-up. I'm talking about when the poverty program begins to talk about birth control to nobody but black people, nobody but poor people. That's genocide. That's genocide. But we go for it. We go for it and we say daily that we are making progress. You cannot equate progress with concessions. They gave you Thurgood Marshall and you said we were making progress. Thurgood Marshall is a nigger and James Eastland told him he was a nigger. Here Thurgood Marshall, supposedly going before the highest bench in the country, was subjected to a type of questioning by a cracker whose old man was a lynchman of black people. In other words, what Eastland was telling Thurgood Marshall is that you the top nigger in the country, but you still a nigger to me. That's not progress. They gave you an astronaut. I said they were going to lose the nigger in space, but they didn't let him get that high. But you say we making progress. That's not progress. Progress is determined by the amount of power you possess and wield. See, brothers, we must begin to prepare ourselves mentally and physically, for the battle is yet to come. The battle has not descended down upon black people like it will in the next few years. The concentration camps are real. And if you don't believe America is capable of sending niggers to concentration camps or people of color to concentration camps, ask the Japanese Americans, ask the Indians. They don't need you anymore. You are a commodity in this country, a surplus. America got a surplus of niggers. Ramsey Clark, the Attorney General, got on TV a few months ago and said, within the next 20 years, the entire population of this country will be a leisure class, with the exception of 20% of that population because of automation and cybernation. And then you examine to see who they're training for automated and cybernated jobs. They ain't training you, double O soul. They're training white people. We were brought here to do work. There's no more work to do. They will exterminate you. Her history proves she is capable of extermination of people of color. She dropped a bomb on Hiroshima and not in Germany, not because she didn't have the bomb, but because the Japanese were yellow. You must begin to understand that your fight is a fight of survival. People of color must be concerned. We must become allies. These are our allies. Mexican Americans, Puerto Ricans, American Indians. These are the people who we align with. Yes, brother, America has given us an ultimatum. She say you live or die. We say freedom or death. Black power, brother.
Prime Minister for the Black Panther Party of Self-Defense. I really don't need to call his name. Brother Stokely Carmichael, Black Power.
Brothers and sisters, good evening. They tell us they're going to put us out at 7 o'clock, but I'm going to talk past 7 o'clock tonight. I'm going to do that because we have to talk to each other. Got to do that. Right? Before we do, I just want to introduce some people. Our Atlanta Communications Director, Miss Ethel Minor. A bad brother from Boston who was arrested for inciting to riot when the little thing went down in Roxbury just returned from across the waters. And incidentally, we are always going to go where we want to go, talk to whom we want to talk to, go to what country we want to talk to. No hunky going to tell us where to go. Chico Nebula. As far as we're concerned, we're born free. We'll go to China, we'll go to Cuba, we'll go to Africa, we'll go wherever we want to go. And if the hunky don't like it, he can go to hell. He can go to hell. He can go to hell. Can't nobody tell you where to go, who to see, and who you talk to. You got to know so you can understand what this hunky is putting down. We have got to go across the waters to talk to our brothers. Now then, today we want to talk about one thing, survival. That's all. How is this beautiful race of people, black people, going to survive Babylon? That's all we have to talk about. Survival transcends economics, it transcends politics, it transcends a poverty program. We are talking about survival, about our people, black people all over the world. That's all we're talking about. Survival, survival. Now you have to understand survival because I have to repeat some of the things Brother Rapp said. Is it possible for the hunkies to commit genocide against black people? Now, if you don't think it's possible, check out the history of this country. In order for this country to be born, they committed genocide against the red man. They can and will do it. They can and will do it. Not only have they committed genocide against the Indians, but what they have done is they romanticize that genocide. That's what they do when they put that cowboy and Indian junk on television for you to clap. That's nothing but romanticizing the genocide of a race of people. They are so unaware of their superiority complex that they do not know what they are doing. The fight is going to be a fight of color, nothing else. Nothing else. Oh my wherever he goes. He came to this country, the Indians showed him how to prepare corn. The Indians showed him how to hunt. After the Indians showed him that, after the first Thanksgiving, he wiped them out. He wiped them out. He went to Mexico. He went to South America. He found the Aztec Indians. They said to him, "This is our silver. This is our gold. We are a religious people. We build symbols, monuments. We make little jewelry." He took the jewelry and he wiped them out. He wiped them out. He went to Africa. He saw the greatest people in the world alive. They thought he was a human being. They said, "Come, this is our gold. This is our way of life. We dance, we sing, we get high." They showed him the gold. He took the gold, he enslaved us, and he rules Africa today. Today. You gonna get him? No need to get excited today, baby. We gonna get him. We gonna get him. No need to get excited. We gonna get him. As sure as I'm standing here, black people gonna survive this country. We ain't got to worry. We just gonna organize. He went to China. The Chinese had gunpowder. They said, "We use this for fireworks, for our festivities." He took it, made it a gun, and enslaved the Chinese. Where has he gone that he has not enslaved people? Where has he gone? I ask you, tell me one place that hunky has gone where he has acted as a human being. Not one place on this earth. One place on this earth. So that today when we talk about our survival, we do not talk about this country, which is America, which is white people. We talk about our people, nothing else. Our people, that's all we care about. Our people. If this country burns down to the ground, we rejoice and we dance. We care about our people, our people, our people, nothing else. Our people, our people. In organizing our concepts this year, there are three slogans that we need to take with us. Number one is that we must develop consciously an undying love for our people. Undying love for our people. That means that our slogan becomes first, our people, then and only then, me and you. Our people comes first. First. You must understand the concept of love for one's people, because we're talking about Huey P. Newton, who personifies love for his people. For his people. Our second slogan, every Negro is a potential black man. Let's work with our people and bring them home. Bring them home. Bring them home. And why do we say every Negro is a potential black man? Because 400 years ago, when that hunky stole us and brought us here, we were Africans or black people. Today, we are Negroes. It took us 400 years to make us Negroes, and we've been black for 4,000 years. For 4,000 years. For 4,000 years. To be a Negro means that you begin with your history 400 years ago, and your history is defined by the hunky. To be an African or a black man is to be a man who ruled in his own land. We are black Africans. Black Africans. We must understand that concept fully. A lot of our people's minds are messed up. We will not fight with our people. We will sit down, we will talk, we will take time, we will use love and brotherhood and bring them home. Our major enemy is the hunky. That's where our energies go. Go. You cannot fight inside the black community and fight them at the same time. Also, if every Negro is a potential ally, you never alienate your ally. Everybody in our community becomes organized, from the bourgeoisie to the man in the street. Everybody is going to be organized because they are black. If you understand that concept, it means that when you sit down with one of your brothers and their minds have been messed up by the hunky and they start arguing you when you say the word black, don't get excited. If you do, the hunky has won. Don't get excited. Sit down, take time with the brother. Use the example. If I've got a brother and a white man came into my family and turned that brother against me, if I didn't have enough strength to bring my brother home, the hunky was stronger than I am. They are not stronger than we are. We will dominate our people. Bring them home. Bring them home. Bring them home. Bring them home. That means that when we move against our people, we do not use force. We do not use force against our people. We use love, brotherhood, unity, and patience, and we take time. The third concept that we talk about is that for black people, the question of community is not a question of geography, it is simply a question of color. Understand that? That means that if you live in Watts, if you live in Detroit, Southside Chicago, Washington, D.C., you are the same people belonging to the same community because you are black. You are of African descent. You are an African people wherever you are. Wherever you are. We must begin to understand that concept, because if we understand that concept, we break down the geographical barriers and we become part of black people in Africa, in Cuba, in Brazil, in Guatemala, in Santo Domingo, in the West Indies, in the United States, in Nova Scotia. We are one people, 900 million strong. That's us. That's us. That's us. Those are the three concepts we have to move with. Let me repeat them. One, undying love for our people. First, our people. Then, and only then, you and me. Everything goes to our people. Everything, including our life, goes to our people. Our people. Our people. You've got to understand that that does not mean this country, because this country has been and always will be against our people. So to help this country is to be against yourself. We must be for our people. Our people. Secondly, every Negro is a potential black man. Let's work with our people and bring them home. Understand that. We need the people who we call the bourgeoisie. They have technical skills that we can use. Their minds are messed up. They are giving those technical skills to the hunkies. Let's bring them home and let them give it to us. We must open up the channels for that. Let's bring our people home. Let's bring our people home. Thirdly, the question of community for black people is not a question of geography, it is a question of color. We do the same dances that people in Watts do, you do in New York. The boogaloo gets transplanted so fast that without television, without radio, without any of their communication systems, we do the same dances, not only here, but in Africa. Now then, we want to talk about survival in a practical context. The United States works in the 3 M's. First the missionaries, then the money, then the Marines. That's its pattern all over the world. We have sent the missionaries out of our community. The money is going out because our brothers in Vietnam is taking it and the Koreans getting ready to get it on again. So the money is going. Next comes the Marines. If we are going to survive as a people, and we must survive if for no other reason than for what our ancestors has been through with this hunky, we have got to organize. Got to organize. That means that the question of the vote for black people becomes an irrelevant issue unless it is used as a vehicle for organizing black people. Nothing else. Nothing else. It is foolish to assume that the vote is going to do anything for black people. It has always been irrelevant to our lives. We have survived without it. We survived in the Deep South without the vote. 2 years ago when Julian Bond was elected in Georgia, they took him out for 2 years. His people are still surviving. Adam Clayton Powell is outside of Harlem. Our people are still surviving. The vote is irrelevant. It's a trick bag the hunky put down on us. It don't mean a thing to black people. We can survive without it. We can survive without it. That means that if we go into the vote, we use it only as a political vehicle for bringing more of our people together. That is all. We do not depend upon the vote. Do not depend upon the vote. Secondly, the poverty program. We have to understand the concept of the poverty program and what it has done. The poverty program has been for one purpose and one purpose only. Stop the rebellions, stop the rebellions. And they stop the rebellions by dividing the black community. That has been their tactic, and it has worked. It has worked. Take a look at Watts. It was the first community to be swamped with the poverty program, and today we are fighting each other over the crumbs that we cannot even get together. They have succeeded in dividing us. And how have they done that? The most instinctive, revolutionary cadre of people in any race, except theirs today, is the youth. The youth will fight at the drop of a hat in any race, in any race, in any race. The youth have always been the warriors, except for their race where they're becoming hippies. But that's good. We will develop the warriors. Let them develop the hippies. We'll get them. We'll get them. They have given money to the youth to keep them quiet. And while they have done that, they have split the family which they talk about so much. How would you feel if you were a father, couldn't get a dime, and your son was coming home with $120 a week in his pocket for doing nothing? For doing nothing. What do you think they have done to our families but divide them on that simple concept of the poverty program? If they were concerned about us, they would see to it that our fathers got the jobs because they are the breadwinners of the family. They are the breadwinners of the family. We knock out the vote, we knock out the poverty program. Only as an organizing vehicle for our people can it be used. It does not, will not, and cannot solve our problems. We use it only as an organizing vehicle. Thirdly, the question of education. Now, Brother Rapp ran it down very nicely. I'll just add to it. Education don't help us in this country. It cripples us. That is a fact. In our communities are filled with hustlers, pimps, dope addicts, prostitutes, numbermen, racketeers, preachers, teachers, maids, porters, and some factory workers. Not one black school in the country has a curriculum geared to teach us how to be a good pimp, good hustler, good preacher, good teacher, good anything. Not one. Not one. If the education is to teach us how to live in our community, then it must do one of two things. Prepare us to live in that community by teaching us how to be good prostitutes, good maids, good preachers, or by teaching us how to change our community so we can live like human beings. So we can live like human beings. Our school system does neither. And when our young people who are very intelligent drop out of school because they recognize the game the hunky is running on them, they have us fighting them saying, get back in school. Get back to what? White nationalism? If we want our children to go to school, we have to educate them. We have to educate them. We have to educate them. Nobody else. There is no race in history that give their young to another race to educate. No race at all. No race at all. We are the only race that allow our enemy to educate our youth against us. We must educate our people. We must educate our people. In order to educate our people, it means that we must take over the schools, nothing less. Take them over by any means necessary. But we start by organizing our people. We start by organizing our students into black student unions. We break up the parent-teachers associations because they are dominated by the teachers and by the unions, and those teacher unions do not speak to us. We form Parents Association with parents alone, and with African American teachers, we form African American Teachers Association. We bring the three groups together and we take the school by any means necessary. And we must understand that concept means that we have to get out and organize our people. We must organize our people. Now let us talk a little about the concept of a black united front. It is crystal clear that no matter what happens in the coming summers in this country, it is going to be black against white. If I go out today and I throw a brick, when they come down, anybody who's black is in trouble. Is in trouble. Not only that, the very fact that they give us money depends upon us being black. The brothers in the middle class may yell when Brother Rap Brown yells, burn the country down. But every time Rap yells, burn the country down, they get $5 million in poverty program. That is a fact. That is a fact. They need Rap Brown, and we need them. We are one people, an African people. We must get rid of these divisions in our community. We must come together for the survival of the greatest race on earth, African people, African people, African people. Now we want to go into talking about alliances and coalitions and why it is that the only people we can in fact ally ourselves with are the Mexican Americans, the red man, and the Puerto Ricans. We're going to go into it now. I do not deny the fact that there are poor people in this country who incidentally happen to be white. I do not deny that fact. There are a lot of poor white people in this country. But you are not just fighting money for, well, let me do it another way. There are two types of oppression. There is exploitation and there is colonization. Exploitation deals with when you exploit somebody from your own race. Colonization is when you exploit somebody from another race. And colonization is more brutal than exploitation, because when white people exploit other poor white people, they do not dehumanize them. But when white people colonize people of other races, they dehumanize them. They strip them of their culture, their language, their history, their society, their values. There's a big difference. There is a big difference. A big difference. There is a big difference between exploitation and colonization. Poor white people in this country who are exploited can always hope to reach the top. People who are colonized can never hope to reach the top until they overthrow their oppressor. Their oppressor. There is another reason. White people who are poor have the same values as Lyndon Baines Johnson, the same institutions and the same culture. We are a different people with different languages, different cultures, different histories, different way of life. That is a fact. We're going to keep on talking. They can't get us all.